So Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's pick to be vice president of the Democratic ticket, which means she's Joe Biden's pick to be president of the Democratic ticket.
And that's why we're drinking.
And that's exactly why we're drinking.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm Emily Jashinsky.
I'm Chris Bedford.
And we're drinking because Kamala Harris is the vice presidential candidate for the Democratic Party.
I feel good about it.
You know what? I actually think Kamala Harris is underrated by the right. I think she's a very talented politician who was sort of crumbling under the pressures of being in a crowded, competitive primary field. I think she's actually a very strong orator when she has the right speeches and when she's in the right rhythm. She gets thrown off easily, but I think she's a very capable candidate. I think she's a very far left candidate.
She has all the right flags. You ever seen her office? If you go to her office, so I'd never seen a transgender flag. I actually couldn't even describe it, but I said, what is that? I mean, I'd seen it before in Unitarian churches, but I didn't know what it was. And I see it at her office, and my friend's like, that is a flag for the transgender identity. Yeah. She's also, I mean, if you read the press accounts, the press is super pumped about this. They are BFFs with Kamala.
It's how they were with Warren.
They literally go shopping with her. Like, they pick out rainbow jackets for her, then other reporters tweet about it, and like, oh my gosh, LOL, and they text, and she's got her reporters at CNN, Kamala does, and she texts like, LOL, you should cover this exactly how I want you to, and she's like, heart, 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 and then, boom, it's up. The press is extremely happy about this, but they're also saying that she's a moderate. So, how does that work with your saying she's very left-wing and you know, her flag collection?
This is, I think, her flag collection.
It's very impressive.
This is the most important point, I think, to make about Kamala Harris, because she's going to be called a moderate by the media from now until November, and then also when the history books are written. And she really isn't. But the problem with Kamala Harris is that we don't have a word for somebody who is essentially a corporatist and who is also very far to the left on cultural issues. So, like, Kamala Harris's cultural agenda is... it's a far left cultural agenda. Reparations, legalizing weed, Green New Deal, all of these goodies. But she's also somebody who spends a lot of time with very wealthy people. She's somebody who doesn't quite go as far as Bernie and Elizabeth Warren on, for instance, antitrust issues. And the problem is that we, like, in our political lexicon, completely lack a label for that. So the media is going to continue calling her a moderate or a centrist or a pragmatic moderate, which is what one of the major corporate publications used after Joe Biden made the announcement.
The New York Times?
Yeah, the New York Times.
Yeah, those were the guys who didn't even get to be on the homepage. Like, they didn't get the front page. They just had to write it for the news site.
Right.
Yeah, they sneaked that in there. So I was reading, Politico this morning, for some reason, depressed. And they described Kamala as deftly hopping between the Democratic Party's shifting tectonic plates.
That's hilarious.
It is. I mean, another way to say that might be that she's completely unprincipled. Yes. That as soon as she's off one platform, she turns viciously around and attacks whoever is still standing, where she just was moments ago, that she is a careerist, that she's a shapeshifter, and that, that's just not... Definitely moving among the tectonic plates is not how you would have described Mitt Romney's shift to the right, for example, would it? Or Jeb Bush saying, I'm very conservative. The Politico would see right past that. So they do this time. They do as well. But it's important to remember that, these reporters are really, really, really upset that Hillary Clinton lost in 2016. Like, this changed their lives. I mean, one of these reporters who I was reading her story literally started the podcast to save the egos of young girls who she knew would be crushed completely, psychically and spiritually, by Donald Trump being president.
And now they're all on TikTok, and frankly, I think it's true Trump sent them there.
Trump sent them to TikTok. They're just madness. They're just floating in the ether now, twisting and turning, widening gyre. So these reporters are so pumped because this is their second chance. They're going to get a female president, which is what this is, in charge of the White House, and Donald Trump out. And maybe, this is one who they're actually friends with, whereas like Hillary Clinton, you don't talk to the Pope, you just worship at there.
Well, so I love that you just pulled that from Playbook. I hadn't seen that. Deftly deftly handling the shifting tectonic plates in the Democratic Party is how I would have described Kamala Harris 2 years ago, because I think at the time she was actually doing that deftly. If you go back and look, this is part of the reason why I think she's a more talented politician than people on the right realize. She was coming out against identity politics, and at gatherings of people on the left, she would say, I don't think that's what people are worried about when they wake up in the middle of the night, and that eventually became her 3 a.m. policy. But deftly is a hilarious word choice now, because there was nothing deft about her run for president. She actually was so clumsy at trying to move between those shifting tectonic plates in the party that she burned out before Iowa. There's nothing deft about that. So what's deft is the media's ability to make Kamala Harris seem deft, right? Because this is a message that we see through it, but this is going to be broadcast everywhere for months and for years. But what's so important about this is the media thinks Kamala Harris is moderate because they don't recognize that her positions on issues like campus kangaroo courts, she supports the Obama-era Title IX things. On the cultural side, this is not centrist.
But she is tough, and she is unwavering on her approach to sexual harassment. I mean, she said Joe Biden is guilty, absolutely guilty.
Right.
So she would never work for him. I mean, she doesn't. He works for her.
But Kamala Harris is a problem, and the media won't make this a problem for Kamala Harris, but she was going so hard on Brett Kavanaugh and was immediately not willing to do the same to Joe Biden's accuser, Tara Reade, whose account I think fizzled and unraveled to an extent. But Kamala Harris, those clips of her from the Kavanaugh hearing, I think don't look good.
No, they don't look. I mean, they'll make good advertising if you're moved by that. But I think the news cycle is changing so dramatically. It's hard to keep up with it. But it's not just moderate. This description goes on. This is a love letter. And I'm going to embarrass everyone by reading it out loud to the class.
There's so many students here.
Oh, yeah.
HQ.
In nearly every sense, she picks up where Biden falls short. She's a black and South Asian woman, the first of both on a major presidential ticket. A Chuck Taylor wearing 55, she's the picture of vigor. Born when Biden was in college, at one with contemporary pop culture, and steeped in the issues facing regular Americans. She's the child of 2 immigrants. She is the rare progressive many moderates like. Meanwhile, she goes, this is the ticket that will try to knock off Trump, a white 74-year-old man, and Mike Pence, a white 61-year-old man, in the middle of a pandemic that has killed more than 160,000 Americans. So who are the other guys? This old white men, they kill Americans.
What is this from?
This is later on in Playbook, just paragraphs down. And this is my favorite part. They have to, it's just, yeah, exactly, right? She's the God Queen. She's unafraid to mix up reporters, eager, okay, maybe just willing, to stop in the Capitol to chat. So they actually pull back in real time. They're like, you know what? She's not eager. We're just making it up. One editor I was talking to described this as the introduction to a Marvel movie. Yeah. Like this is a superhero.
Yeah, that is coming. What they're doing. Actually, you could probably stitch together a lot of this stuff and put it into a trailer. I mean, you could. They are treating Kamala Harris like they treated Elizabeth Warren during the primary, and it's because it's somebody who largely matches their own worldview, which is not, it's so funny how they treated Bernie Sanders, right? When someone comes in with this actually, very anti-establishment platform, the corporate media freaks out. And you can tell a lot by the fact that they're not doing that when it comes to Kamala Harris, and that they're not doing it when it comes to other candidates, because it's something that's in line with their largely corporatist, neoliberal, whatever you want to call it, worldview, and that's far left on culture and basically just corporatist on economics.
So it's good for Wall Street.
Well, Wall Street, there's an article in CNBC that actually compiled a bunch of quotes from Wall Street executives saying, this is a strong show that Joe Biden is going to, this reinforces Biden's commitment to staying in the center. I'm sorry, the woman who supports reparations and the full transgender agenda and
has a flag.
But because she was a prosecutor, and by the way, she's apologized for a lot of her record as a prosecutor. But because she has that and she's friendly to Wall Street, largely, they're happy.
And that's why we drink.
That's why we drink.
Thanks for tuning in to the Federalist, and we'll be tuning in. We'll be broadcasting you guys often because it's actually pretty fun to hang out here.
Yeah, it's not bad. And there's beer.
Cheers.
He loves the freedom and anxious for the fray.